Good morning, everyone. Great to see such an interest in today's topic of Microsoft Teams. Now, in today's webinar, we're going to cover a lot, from the basics through to co-authoring and file sharing, and then on to how you can use Teams as your collaborative operating system or your cockpit, the place you do all of your work. Now, many people are still only scratching the surface of what Teams can do. They may be familiar with instant messaging and video calling, but not fully utilising the more richer collaborative capabilities it offers. They are just muddling through. Now, in this webinar, we'll start with an introduction to the 6 core functional components, which include activities, chat, Teams, calendar calls, and files, and then quickly drill into some of the features that will make a substantial impact on the productivity of your business. Now, we've called this webinar Going from Beginner to Ninja in 30 Minutes. So strap yourself in and let's bring it all to life. Okay, hopefully you can all see my demo tenant. Let's have a quick orientation of the 6 areas that underpin Teams. And they are activity, chat, Teams, calendar, calls, and files. Ignore planner for now. We'll come to that a little bit later. Let's start with activity. Now, the activity tab provides a summary of all of your chat and post activity, missed calls, posts that your colleagues have mentioned you in, for example, so you don't miss anything. Great place to start if you've been away from your desk. Let's move on to chat. This is probably what 99.9% of users know Teams for. You have the ability to interact with individuals, colleagues, etc. And I've got Alex and Isaiah set up there, but it could also be groups of people. In this case, I've set up a group for the finance department because I'm always talking to 2 particular people in there about my expenses or purchase orders I need to be raising or processing and so on. There's always 2 people. So why don't I tag them and set them up as a group within chat? Now, chat is great for pure non-project based instant chat requirements, adding in as many people as you want into that group chat. But remember, you should only use chat for private one-on-one conversations, which have absolutely no importance to anyone else. Let's keep the pace up and let's move on to the other features of Teams. Skip Teams itself, let's move on to calendar. The calendar I see here is exactly the same one in Outlook. Any changes I make or additions I make to this calendar, adding a new meeting, for example, will appear automatically in Outlook and vice versa. They're both driven by Exchange. Now, something I want to bring our attention to is a hidden gem. It's called live events. Live events are great for town hall events. I just need to broadcast a message. They're useful for webinars. For example, this event is a live event. This webinar is a live event. And they're useful as an alternative to our more kind of collaborative video meetings that we might set up. So live events, get your head around them, very useful feature. Now, if I quickly set one up, town hall event, I've got my normal kind of features there in terms of description times, blah, blah, blah. Something worth getting your head around, or something you will have to get your head around if you use live events, is the difference between producers and presenters. And obviously you've got people, users we'll call them, or consumers of the content, but that's the audience, But what does a producer do? A producer can start or stop the live event. A producer does all the sequences of the various presenters, making sure that they seamlessly flow from one presenter and what they want to share, be it including their slides and their video stream, etc., onto the next presenter and onto the next presenter. A presenter can only share their screen and can speak at that live event. Let's move on. So we've got organisation-wide, well, that's suitable for a town hall event. We've also got public. For example, I set this webinar that we're all on at the moment as a public event. So anybody that's got the link outside our organisation can take part in the live event. Let's scroll down. We can record it. It's automatically set up to record, so we can distribute that. People who didn't attend, people who want to drill down on it and consume it again later after the event is finished. I might want to have a list of all the attendees. This is very useful. For example, if somebody didn't attend, who didn't attend? There were some important messages I wanted to share. I can pick up the phone, knowing who didn't attend, and run them through it on the phone, on a video call, after the event is finished and when they're available. And finally, I can make the live event interactive by using the Q&A feature where people can post questions, and during the event, people can respond to it and so on, and getting some dialogue going. And that's it. That's the calendar and live events available within Teams. So let's touch briefly on Microsoft Business Voice. Now, what Business Voice ultimately does is replace your existing telephone system, delivering all your traditional phone services, where you're calling out to customers on a traditional phone network, using Microsoft Teams as your UI. So integrating your traditional calling functionality with all your clever Microsoft 365 capabilities. Now, as a result of Microsoft Voice, your calling capabilities, chat, meetings are now unified in the Teams app, allowing you to make calls on your PC, on your smartphone, or using a more traditional desk phone if you required. Let's move on to files. So I can see here all the recent files I've worked in, or been working on, and also all the files I've access to in Teams, and all those files I have in my OneDrive for Business account. You can also see here I've gotten dropped in my Dropbox account. Now this is so super useful, and it's a precursor to what we're going to be talking later about using Teams as your collaboration operating system, as your single place to go for all collaboration. Now, we cannot assume that everybody's going to use SharePoint and OneDrive for all the file storage. You're going to have a handful of users that are committed to using Dropbox. They haven't got the time to come off it. And what we've got the opportunity to do is, and I've gone and done it in this case, is connected my Dropbox account to Teams. So now I can easily access and move files from Dropbox into OneDrive or into Teams seamlessly. It's a nice little feature. Now let's climb straight into Teams by clicking on Teams on the left-hand rail. Now Teams is probably the most underutilized feature within the Teams app. It's crazy. Let's start with some basics by defining what a team is. Think of a team as a group of people with a common purpose. For example, you could create a team for the sales department or the finance department, a team for a project, a team for one of your office locations, or a team for clients. When it comes to channels, you should have as many channels as you'd like underneath each team to organize all the moving parts of that team. Each channel acting as one topic of conversation, and let channels grow organically. So don't overthink the channels you might want up front. So in this tenant, for example, I've probably got about 10 teams. I've got the Mark 8, I've got sales and marketing, and so on. Let's click on Mark 8 there. And apart from the general tab, general channel, which is created on default, I've got the design channel, design assets for the web, go to market, research and development, and so on. And then each of these channels, I've got the posts, messaging, communications go on relating to the design efforts, and then all the files pertinent to the design activity. A key concept you need to get your head around is how you should organize files in Teams. Now, Teams should serve as the central repository for all documents. All files relating to a team, a department, or a project should live in your channels. You shouldn't have any files floating around in your inbox or file shares or Dropbox, for example. Now, unfortunately, I often see this, where we've got a team and we've built nothing other than the general channel, and we've got all our files stacked in here, mirroring the traditional directory structure that you get on file shares and so on. That is so yesterday. We do not want to be organizing our files like this in Teams. You should flatten your old style folder structure using Teams. For example, we've got a design folder, we've got a digital assets for web folder, I've got go to market, I've got research and development. Surprise, surprise, if we look above, I've got a design channel to replace the design folder. I've got the digital assets web channel to replace the traditional folder structure. And likewise, I've got a marketing and research and development. Each channel should be used to manage the various moving parts of your project or department. Break out of that mindset that everything belongs in a folder structure. No, in Teams, everything belongs in a channel. The files and the various activity, the chats, the communication, collaboration, all belong in a channel. Trying to squeeze everything, posts and files, into the general channel will impact your productivity. And there's every possibility things will just get lost in the noise, wood from the trees and all that. Now let's move on to the key topic of co-authoring. What we're actually going to do here is go into the Design tab, find a file, need to update. I'm working on it with my colleagues, yeah? They're going through an intensive period of updating the marketing timelines document. So click on it, and I've got a number of ways I can work on this file. I can work it within the browser. I can open that up in the full desktop app, or I can open it up in the browser. Now, working in the browser, working within the context of Teams, there's very little difference between the functionality, the rich functionality you get with that compared to the full fat kind of Office client. So you can edit it anywhere. Now, what we've got here, we can actually see in the ribbon above, we can actually see if there's any activity that's been performed, or whether there's any updates since I was last in it that I should be aware of. I can see who else is in the document. I've got Megan Brown there. That's because cheating a little bit, but I can see that I'm Megan. I've just gone and loaded up the browser edition. I can also see, for example, here it is. I'm working on my smartphone. I'm logged in as an administrator, within this tenant, and I'm editing that file. So let's look at what I might be doing. And I can see any changes real time. So I can change it from final to say, actually, this is the draft release of that document. So I can see real time any changes that are being made. How fantastic is that? I can also see who else is in that file. Yep, I can see, that's me. That's me on my mobile phone editing the document. I can go to where I'm editing it. Bang! It takes me straight there. And I'd have the whole host of other people listed across there who are editing away at the document and where they are. And I can see real time what changes they're making. Fantastic. Now let's move on to version history. Very, very important. The one bug that we all experience is, well, what is the latest version I should be working on? Where is it? Who's got it? Who's been working on it last? Well, using Teams and co-authoring within Teams, behind that, I'm using SharePoint version control. So anytime anybody's making any changes to the document, wherever they are, in the office, home, whatever, SharePoint is tracking that. It's saving. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about calling version 10. Version 10, 5th of November 2020, 5th of November 2020, final draft, final draft, whatever. Hey, you just stick to the name of the file and you've got all the versions that are being saved behind it. So for example, I can go here and look at all those, look at all the versions being created. There it is, listed down there. I can trawl back through all the different versions, all the different updates that have been made over time, and I can save a copy of that particular version, or I can restore it. Perhaps somebody's gone and incorrectly updated it and I simply want to restore to the previous iteration of that file. Such a powerful feature. Now the other approach is we can use co-authoring. Co-authoring's great, it is so fundamental in how we operate as an organization, especially when you take into account you've got the version control. Bang, great, love it. But there are other alternative approaches we could take. For example, we don't have ad hocs. Perhaps we've gone through the process of co-authoring. Everybody's had their input. They've all made their changes. Now we've got to bring everybody together and sign it off, make some final last tweaks and so on. And what we're going to do that on a call. So we're going to meet now with everybody in that team to work this out. So we can see all the people down there that have been invited to the call. And there we go, bang. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen. Share my desktop. Here we go, share it and bring that document up, that marketing timeline document up. Now, this is much more interactive and we often use it as exactly the same use case where we use co-authoring to make those mass updates together as a team, and then we come together on an ad hoc call or an organized call to work together on the keyboard real time to make those changes in that kind of consensus kind of fashion. I think there's room for both approaches. Another neat feature is the check-in, check-out feature, which is a great way of stopping others from making changes to a document while you are working on it. Now I'm going into the files, well, I'm in the files tab of the design channel, and I want to work on this user survey doc exclusively. I don't want anybody else working on it. I don't want anybody else making any changes to it. So if I come down here, click on more, I can check that out. Now that file is now checked out to me. And you can see it's checked out, which is a reminder to me. I can see that red down arrow. Now anybody else that comes in will also be able to see that down arrow, and they'll be able to see that it's checked out to me, Megan in this case. Now the use case for this is I don't want anyone else to be making edits to the document while I'm working on it. I only want them to be able to view it. They can still view it, they can read it, but they can't edit it while I've got that checked out. And when I've finished with that, I can simply go back in, back down to more, and check it back in. Make a note on there if I wanted to remind everybody what changes I've been making perhaps, but I've checked it back in. Now everybody's got the opportunity to make edits to that document. Great little feature. So let's summarize the points I'd like to leave you with before we move on to the next section. 1. Consider Teams as your virtual workplace for all departmental and project activities. Number 2, now this is something I haven't mentioned, but please bear in mind, Teams for communications should supersede email. Outlook should ultimately only be used for more formal communications, be that with your customers for proposals or partners, legal documentation, whatever that might be. All other comms and collaboration should happen within Teams. Number 3, don't mimic your hierarchical file structure you've always worked on in your traditional file serving world. Flatten that out using channels within Teams. And finally, don't forget co-authoring is a big deal with the ability to see the live updates of your colleagues, ability to see all the versions that have been created over time and what changes have been made since you last worked on the document. Get out of the habit of pinging those various versions of a doc around on email and start using the co-authoring capabilities within Teams. It'll help you maintain, this last feature will help you maintain your sanity. Now let's change gears and look at how we can build a rich, collaborative operating environment within Teams. For all our collaborative work, Microsoft believes that Teams should be your collaborative operating system, the cockpit, the place you do all of your work when engaging with colleagues, all that collaborative productivity stuff. But information often lives across a variety of different services. For example, your CRM system, your intranet, your Dropbox, Power BI, there are many. But what Teams allows you to do is easily integrate these services into Teams to ensure we do all our work in Teams and not toggling between these various applications and becoming inefficient. So let's look at how that plays out. Scrolling down, you can see I've gone and started by creating a team called the Collaboration Champions, and we're going to build out 4 new channels. We're going to build out the news feed, where we're going to focus on all the latest news on Microsoft's roadmap for Microsoft 365. Learning and development. Using this channel, we're going to focus on everything to do with improving how we are using Microsoft 365 and Teams. Number 3, hardware inventory, to store all our information on what desktops and laptops we have in the organization. And number 4, and finally, starters leavers, where we focus on everything to do with the important process and activities to do with people joining and leaving our organization. Let's go into the newsfeed channel and click on the 3 dots. Click on the connectors, and I'm going to select the RSS feed, which is up here on the top, and add that to the team. And now that I've added an RSS feed to my team, I'll use RSS to provide us with the latest Microsoft roadmap information. We don't need to digest this every 6 hours, so we'll set this for a weekly refresh. And on clicking the save button, we see the news feed in the channel. So now each week we'll get the latest news on what is new in Microsoft 365. Obviously, this news feed could be any news source relevant to your business. Okay, let's move on to learning and development. We're going to integrate two new external apps, a website for training content and a Power BI report on how our people are using Microsoft 365. Let's click on the new tab, add new website, naming the tab Teams Training. What we're going to load here is content from an online service which is a super handy source of training content for Teams. In addition, let's add another tab, this time for Power BI, to surface the usage analytics for how our people are using Teams and the various other applications that make up Microsoft 365. This is another web service that provides usage and behavioral information on how our users are using Teams, Outlook and OneDrive that will help me drive change into our organization. What I want to do now is talk about how you can use lists in Teams. What we're going to do is demonstrate how you can use Microsoft Lists to hoover up your many spreadsheets into Teams by turning them into lists. I absolutely love lists. This is such a great feature if you want to get your data out of standalone spreadsheets and into Teams for your people to collaborate on. So in this case, we'll set up a new tab in the inventory channel and add in the Lists app. When you create a list from Excel, Microsoft Lists will read the tables from your spreadsheet and allow you to choose one of those tables to import. I've only got one table in this example, so I'll go ahead and upload that. Now you can edit what you want to import, but in this example, I'm not going to make any changes and simply bring the whole table as is into the Microsoft Teams list. So once that's done, the next step is to name the list, give it a color, give it an icon, bang, you've imported the spreadsheet. So in this example, my team can now edit and maintain our hardware inventory information within Teams and to collaborate on it. So let's get on and set up a start leaver channel. Now the start leaver channel is where we focus on everything to do with the important processes and activities, the do's and don'ts to do with people joining and leaving our organization. Now we already have a SharePoint intranet site in the business for all our processes and procedures to do with starters and leavers. And what we want to do is surface that intranet site in this channel. So let's add a new tab, select the SharePoint site, give it a name, enter the URL for the SharePoint site, and there we have it. We can access all our intranet pages directly from within Teams. The last thing I want to talk about in this section is how, using Microsoft Power Automate, you can automate repetitive tasks in your business without having to write a single line of code. Simply put, Power Automate allows you to easily and simply stitch together various functionality you have within Microsoft 365. Now in this example, I've created a workflow based on a line manager in the organization making a new starter request. In this case, I've got a message here from Megan that's asking me to set up a new laptop for one of her new salespeople. I hit the ellipse on the message, select the starter leaver workflow. I'm prompted for a date for when the user needs to be set up and have their new laptop available. And then the workflow automatically creates a task in my team starter leaver to-do list, which I can see over here in Planner that the new task has been created for me and my team to get working on. This is such a simple, no code, I mean absolutely zero code example of what you can do in seconds, wiring together the different bits of Microsoft Office to automate out those repetitive tasks that we've all got in our daily jobs. Wow, there's so much you can do in extending Teams and making it into your complete working environment. So let's start bringing the webinar to a conclusion by saying a few words about Bedrock. Now we exist to help our clients become the best they possibly can by using technology in smarter ways, providing a full range of IT and cloud services to help you run all or part of your IT. Now, we believe the current IT outsourcer or managed service market is failing its customers for three key reasons. Number one, they don't understand your business and how you use IT. They only provide a generic service. Two, they're not interested in helping you maximize your spend on IT. They simply see you as a monthly paycheck. And finally, they are not geared up to advise on how IT can become a strategic asset. Make sure you're getting the most out of it. So how are we different? Well, in summary, we believe it is all about getting smarter, working on the premise of what gets measured actually gets done and only gets done, using analytics to track how your people are using technology and what we've got to do to help improve their productivity through analysing all that analytical information, all those signals that we're capturing. Now, take, for example, the productivity of your people, identifying where the hotspots of Teams usage is. Which teams are using video most? So you can start asking what values your organisation getting from Teams and what changes should be made. So we see ourselves as a change agent, helping you move that business transformation needle, making sure you're not just muddling through. So I suggest we're different. We don't just keep the lights of your IT on, we make sure you are using IT in the best way possible to make sure your people are as productive as possible to ensure you're delivering on your business goals. Now, if this resonates with you, then we should talk, and I look forward to that moment. But if not, then please stay in contact. And one opportunity of staying in contact is attending the rest of our autumn webinar series. So let's have a quick look at that. So on the 10th, we've got our next in the series of What's New from Microsoft, where we'll be focusing on how you can take Teams meetings to the next level using some of the features and devices launched at Microsoft's recent Ignite conference. These new features can help people feel more connected, make meetings more inclusive, and bring together the remote and the physical in-room participants of a meeting to make meetings more inclusive and collaborative, allowing people to feel like they can lean in even when they're remote, so they don't feel like the poor relations when trying to collaborate on project work, for example. Now, in this webinar on 10th, we'll cover 7 new features, including meeting lifecycle management, together mode, breakout rooms, live transcription, Microsoft Teams rooms, intelligent speakers, and intelligent capture cameras. That agenda is stacked full of great content. So if you're serious about taking Teams to the next level and making it a real cutting edge for your business, then attend that webinar on the 10th. Now, we run these What's New from Microsoft webinars every month. So you'll also see one on the 3rd of December and one on the 5th of January. And they run every month, and you'll see them through the rest of through 2021 as well. So keep an eye on our website. You can see the address there, and keep an eye on any shots we might drop into you to get your latest fix on all the great things on Microsoft 365 and Teams. Well, that's it for today's webinar. I hope there's some good value in there you can take away and apply to your business. I wish you all the best. Stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you on one of our future webinars. All the best. Cheerio. Have a great day. Bye-bye.